Question 10a is obviously about the elasticity of supply. So some of you didn't know how to answer this question, maybe because you don't know what it means by elasticity of supply. What does it mean by elasticity of supply? It actually refers to how much the QS would change, how much the quantity supply would change when the price changes. So it doesn't matter whether the price increases or decreases. I just want to find out how much QS change. And there are, of course, two cases that we can consider. This time, I assume that the price increases. It doesn't matter. You can also assume that the price decreases. Then my first question is, from the seller's perspective, if the price increases, will they sell more or less? Obviously, they will sell more, because they can earn a larger amount of profit. But the two cases are not about whether QS increases or decreases, but I just want to find out how much QS increases. I'm not finding out whether QS increases or decreases, but I need to find out how much QS increases. And of course, there are two cases. The first, QS increases a lot. The second, QS just increases a little bit. And if we find out that QS increases a lot, then I will say that the supply is more elastic. Otherwise, less elastic. Then back to the question, and then let us look at the aviation services first. Assume that the price of the airline services increases. Then of course the airline companies want to raise the quantity supplied. But if they want to raise the quantity supplied, what they have to do? They have to get more airplanes, right? They have to hire the pilots and also the flight attendants so that they can increase their output, right? And that's why here what they have to do, they have to hire more pilots and flight attendants so that they can raise their production. And for banking services, when the price of the banking services increase, of course the banks will also hire more workers so as to raise the quantity supply. And if you compare these two groups of workers, pilots, flight attendants, and also workers in the banking services, which one is more difficult to be employed? Which group is more difficult to be employed? Of course, the pilots and also the flight attendants, especially the pilots. If they want to hire new pilots, of course, the pilots have to go through long period of training, right? Several years of training before they can be the pilot. And that's why it is much more difficult for the airline companies to hire more pilots to raise the quantity supply. But for the banking services, of course, you guys have knowledge about economics, right? And somehow you can also apply for a job in the banking industry. And it doesn't matter whether you have the training or not. And that's why in that case, the banks will find it easier to hire more workers so as to raise the quantity supply. And that's why if you compare these two industries, the QS in the aviation industry will increase a little bit only because it is much more difficult to hire the pilots. But for the banking industry, the QS will increase a lot. And then the reason is that because the pilots have special training and also qualifications. And that's why this is more difficult to hire more pilots, and the QS just increase a little bit. And compared to the banking services, actually the workers may have less special training and qualifications. And that's why QS, the supply for banking services would be much more elastic.